just about anything that has a water content. Right? This looks like a mess, and it's not normally how our counter looks. Linda would know. She wouldn't have that, but I put all these things together just to kind of show you. Anything that contains water can pick up that field, right? So whatever you have in your patch, in your vial, I've just got, this is that one little container of the amino acids, and that's the one little container of the GaNS. I've got the rinse water sitting here. Anything that's within that field we were talking about, you know, if each little vial has like a 1.5 foot field, then how much field does the rinse water have? And plus this, plus this, plus this, you know, it's, the bathroom's pretty plasmified right now. But, you know, anything that you want to improve the frequency, coherence, level of ability to communicate and work with your body. You know, if you spray it on your glasses, the nasal spray, I think, is a great idea, right? Because it really opens up, and people actually make their own nasal spray out of the CO2 rinse water. You just kind of, you need to watch the salinity level so that it's comfortable inside your nose. Or you could just sit the commercial brand of saline water on top of your container and let the field do the work. Same with eye drops. You can either make your own. Again, you got to be mindful of the saline level, or you can just put the container on top, the little hot and cold packs that you get for you know, for your kids, for their boo-boos, your makeup. These are some like essence and oil drops that you would put in a little container in your car. And of course, any kind of lotion, a toothpaste, any of that. So, I mean, you can individually stick a drop of your plasma water in each of these things, or you can let the field do the work, right? So there's different ways to, I guess that's the, the main takeaway from that is there's different ways to plasmafy things. Okay, I'm going to stop that one. So now that you kind of had an inkling of that, I bet you've got all kinds of ideas, right? So there's many different ways, that you can put your plasma vial on something. You know, these are just problem-solving ways I tell people when they buy their tiny tubes, you know, what they can do. I use a Band-Aid to put it on there. You know, the little hair things that you buy for at the dollar store, whatever, you can just wrap that around it twice, right? And put that on there. Poor Penny was taping hers on forever, and that's why I came up with the hugs, because I was like, oh, I can't have her taping that little plastic thing on there. I want her to have something that looks better. So I think that's everything on there. And you can put the, you know, vial on the outside or the inside. I don't really see any difference. When I'm putting it in a spray bottle, I tend to put it on the inside, just because I'm going to keep refilling and refilling and refilling that, and it just keeps it safe. Okay, and then there's a fella I know that he makes these mouth inserts, right? He buys these little gel, well, they're not gel, they're like silicone, I guess, little mouth things. And there can be different purposes for this. You know, you may have some kind of challenges with your teeth. You may be trying to rebuild teeth. You may be trying to work with the infective process with the teeth. He was actually making the GaNS of calcium, which is another subject, and adding that to it and putting the little insert inside his mouth. You can nano coat different little shapes of copper. The spiral is awesome, right? And then you can put it in between, I think he's just got it in between two pieces of plastic here. But just a straight nano-coated piece of copper can do a whole lot of good. We didn't talk about the nano pins, did we?
Oh, we didn't.
Okay.
Shall I go get one for show and tell?
Yeah, if you can find one.
Oh, I know where one is.
And I just talked to people about different ways to store there. If you store your necklace at night on your water bottle, of course, that's a great way to do the field. We created the skin gel, and you can do that with anything, right? The xanthan gum I found was something that was something you could do easily without having to heat up a pot of water. You can do it in the field and send it to somebody that doesn't have a lot of resources. They could just throw that together with the plasma water, or people can put it in their own lotions and whatnot, and soaps and stuff. And of course, you can get any kind of containers. I've played with all kinds just to see what will travel well when I mail it, what will freeze if it needs to freeze. And so far, these two smaller containers and the necklace are my favorites. The smaller and the thicker the glass, obviously, the more wear and tear that they can withstand. But the great thing is they freeze just fine, and I don't have to worry about sending them in this kind of weather. Okay, and this is our kind of little plasma portal, right? When the whole, whatever demic it was, started. So, I would be gone at the hospital all day long, working 10 hours with all of that fun stuff. And when I'd come back in, here's my little plasma portal, right? So the diffusers and nebulizers, anything like that, it's just making this nice little portal here of, and that could be, that could be at an entrance of a clinic. It could be at the entrance of a hospital, right? People are concerned about bugs or frequency, all of the above, or even, like in a gym, where there's a lot of people working out together and whatnot. So I put this in here to remind me, to invite you all to share what you make, right? And then print something out that's kind of a brief something for the people. You're welcome to use any of the stuff that I send you, or that I have on Etsy, or that I have on the Google Doc drive, and just give them a little, maybe 1 or 2 page explanation of what to do real quick. Like the fruit and veggie, it's like, put it in here and spray it on something. The hug, it's like, slide it over here. Yeah, so that you give them some information. And please do spread it around. I really would love everybody to at least have something to spray on their fruits and vegetables the time we're going into. At some point we were playing with what people call a crystal grid, right, where you lay out your crystals and you point in whatever direction seems interesting, and then you walk by later and find out which one wants to move where. So plasma can be a part of that, right? Because it is a crystal, actually. It's the water form of crystal. So it emanates, holds on to, and generates its own frequencies as well. Let's see, did I put the next one in here? Yeah. So a lot of words, but this was about me wearing a necklace made out of, or a bracelet made out of the plasma, right? So when you put that that smaller stretchy band around your wrist, and you put 2 little vials on your arteries at your wrist, that blood goes around your body every 7 minutes, right? So now it's plasmafying your bloodstream, basically. So this was just what my friend saw when I put it on my wrist. She described the sound and light show that she saw. I was like, I want to see that, because it affected my my energy field quite nicely. The blood responds really well to the plasma because it is plasma, right? Let's see. Okay, storing fruits and vegetables and eggs. Of course, this is actually our plasma lab, so it becomes the food storage area, right? So it's going to it's increasing the shelf life of things and keeping the life in them. It's talking about a different set that we have that is to make the 3 different kinds of GaNS at once. We called it the Trifecta kit. And it was, are we going to make them again? I think we still have about maybe 15 of them, 20 of them out there. So we'll probably go ahead and do a class in that, just to get them out there and let them be used. I don't know if we'll ever do it again, but it was a great way to, these kits are a great way to send something with somebody out in the field, I guess you would say. There was a, I don't know if you guys remember Standing Rock. There was a big hullabaloo about the corporations getting on the Indian land and messing up their water systems and whatnot. We had a fella that actually went there. I have a write-up on that behind this, and I'll show it here in a little bit. but my point here was that you can, you know, make this kit, and he actually took it with him. So he was able to make it out there in the field. The only thing, like here, I added the salt. So he had all the stuff. All he had to do was find some water, and he was able to make it out in the field, which in the end, if I get to it, I'll show the write-up on that, that it resulted in raising the frequency of the whole area there by at least 3,000 hertz. We had a friend that was able to measure things like that, pre and post. He would do that like pre and post retreats and stuff, and see, you know, what people's frequency was and what the frequency of the room was and whatnot. And here's Miss Penny. I put her on here to remind me what all started this. Thank you, Penny. So, I mean, we were making plasma years before we met Penny, but the cute thing is that she was playing with plasma years before she, you know, Kesha actually got out there teaching it and stuff.
Before we even heard of plasma.
So, I mean, I didn't invent it. Kesh didn't invent it. You know, Penny didn't even invent it. It's a thing. And a lot of people have studied it a lot of different ways. I just feel like this is one way to work with it, play with it, experience, and let it teach you what it is, right? And then, of course, you can make those hugs any size you want to. You can put them outside or inside the containers. So yeah, we came up with all kinds of crazy things. So we had a friend that was having lung issues. So I came up with a way to make a vest. These are actually the, everybody ever collect baseball cards? You know, they sell these little plastic things, and they have these little slots in them. Yeah. So we made little individual patches. We played with different, does it say on this one which type of GaNs I put in which ones? But you can put, you know, different field strengths of the different GaNs and different things to play with the field effect. So the sky is kind of the limit. This is, yeah, this was at a conference. So the way I let people experience it, of course, I asked their permission. You know, we put it was a vial we put directly in this, wasn't it? This is the way that the hotel set it up, right? So we kind of had to watch it when they came back and put that in there. And, you know, these are,
oh, yeah,
like you all, very, very conscious, very aware beings. They had a lot of fun things to say about that. I mean, it immediately changes the water. I mean, you can taste it, like what the hotel puts in there, you know, whatever.
tap water or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it wasn't tasting great. And then we put it in there now fairly rapidly, like the water turns, a lot of people say sweet, right?
It tastes like spring water.
It's like spring water. You can there's a taste to the liveness and there's a feel to the liveness. And we talked about putting it in rings. This is a local doctor that worked with Kesha a lot, and during our classes with the medical professionals and whatnot, we came up with all these different ways of playing with it, right? So you can stand in the field. Of course, you can use it with any symbols that you think that you enjoy, like Raya was talking about. Put it in there, ask it to pick up the
reply for whatever.
Yeah, whatever those are. Oh, this is our lab. I don't know if you can tell, but up here, this shelf is all of our seeds. So we keep it next to our seed storage.
It's in a wine carton.
Yeah.
But it's got seeds in there.
Oh, it does say wine, doesn't it?
That's the yellow tail.
It's a case of wine from Australia.
No, really?
Yes.
Yes.
You can see the S right there. See, that saved me. It says seeds.
Yellow tails from Australia.
This is an adorable one that somebody made and sent to Linda.
Oh.
It's just a piece of tubing, and the way they figured to stop it up was using a marble. Shove the marble in there, and then they put that, and she called it a hug. Remember?
She did.
She sent it to you and said called it a hug. So lots of fun ways that we talked about that. This is actually what they call a replicator unit in the Kesh world. So they take a container, they put different field forces of the GaNs on the outside, usually everything they've made, and then they can sit like a cut cayenne pepper on top, or an orange on top, and then the water inside, of course, because you've got that active torus field and the energy and the frequency moving through that water, it's going to pick up the attributes of whatever you put on top. Right?
And it's reported that the water will, if you've had an orange up there, it's reported that the water even tastes like an orange.
You know, I don't know if we've even tried that.
I don't know.
Tom said that if you put the cayenne pepper on there, the water will burn your tongue.
Yeah.
Is that how they make
experiment.
the orange GaNs or the cayenne GaNs? You know how they make the particles sometimes?
No, I've got a couple of plates on making the food GaNs. That's another story of how there's a couple different ways to do that. There are several different ways that people utilize to make the food GaNs, some more complicated than others. The document above is on our Google Drive. This is the simplest method that we found, and it seemed to make a beautiful, high vibe, very functional GaNs of the foods for the purposes that we use them for in our different formulas. I came across a teaching recently that was reminding us that everything to do with food and eating is about your ability to absorb and fill with pure love. And that's not a fluffy statement. It's not a statement about meditation or religion. It's actually a very mechanical statement because it's about whether literally your body system is able to draw in a certain frequency at the moment you are consuming the food. And then you can enter into the type of self-nourishment, which then improves your relationship with food and life in general. And this seems to go along with a lot of what Kesh has taught in the past, that he says more than 80% of the energy that you need for life and utilize for life does not come from the food. It comes from your environment and from your ability to absorb from the fields. And with plasma, that's the frequency that you're working with, basically, is the very high, pure, coherent love frequency, peace, joy, and gratitude. Up in this area is where you are basically sourcing source, right? Pure love, with not much between you and that which you are sourcing. Let's see. Oh, there's your Weedle picture. I don't know if I can make that bigger. You can see it, but you can make a big patch to put over your massage table. That was that lung vest kind of idea.
Me wearing that. It was heavy.
We're back in the bathroom. This is talking about the effect of plasma with one of the potential creatures. His name starts with a V that may or may not be part of certain disease processes. But in summary, the way that I understand it is the little critter with a V, he's kind of a high energy but low coherence, wild Tasmanian devil kind of an energy, you know. And then when it gets in touch, it gets in proximity to the GaNs, the plasma, it brings that, actually it brings that down to a level closer to the plasma, and it improves its coherence. And because of that, it's no longer actually a V, right? It's a coherent little molecule. So why would it attack or hurt anything? And it certainly can't attach to anything, and it pretty much detaches from things. And so that's kind of the theory of how all that works, which seems to make logic to me. Okay, so my hoops. We do all kinds of things with our hoops. You can play with them, put them in different geometries. You can meditate. No, we don't hula. That might be fun though.
Hula hoops.
Yeah, because the plasma going.
That would be really fun. Just make a really large hoop and just for hours. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
We experimented with making a spaceship with it once.
Well,
we really did.
Ashtar said it was a spaceship, the lab.
Oh, it was a
He
spaceship.
said the lab is a spaceship. But I get that, you know, it's a space. It's making a different space. Anyways, okay.
No, literally a spaceship.
Raya was talking about using this with kids. I love it. We've had several like do it for their science fair projects. I'll talk about them as they come up. This is a double-walled cup, right? You can buy these at the Dollar Tree these days. You can buy them at the secondhand store. You just heat up a poker, right? Poke it in there, make a little hole. Now you can put your plasma, your GaNs water, anything you want in there, and then use a glue gun or super glue, or I think that's Gorilla. Cover it up, and now you have a double-walled cup, right? That's got the plasma up the sides. This is just one of the many different programs we did in town on plasma. We were fortunate that the people in this town, in this area, really got this. There's a lot of consciousness kind of movements and programs and stuff here. And we did, I don't know, 4 or 5 different programs.
You just passed 2 or 3 pictures when you weren't looking.
Oh, I wanted to show you this idea. This is how people make those honey straws, right? You don't have to have all this equipment, but you can just take the straw. I've got them over there. I'm gonna show you guys actually how to make one. But if you get the jumbo straws, he's got the little ones here. You can actually like get the BPA free, the best plastic you can get. And the reason being that you might use plastic, you know, around like a pet or a child if you don't want to use the glass container. But this is a heat sealer, right? You can heat seal them, or you can actually just use a set of needle nose pliers and a candle, and you just pinch it. I find that works better than the heat sealer. You just pinch the end, hold it over a candle, pinch it, and it seals it together. And you can make a nice long one, or you can make little ones, and you make all of them you want. You know, you don't have to buy glass things. So I plan on doing
or just regular drinking straws.
Yeah, you could use the little ones, or you save the ones from the what are those boba teas or whatever. Okay, this is about creative. Yeah, we were talking about how it converts water. I don't know if any of you are from Texas, but that water is nasty, West Texas. And I went back to visit some friends and stayed at their house, but I couldn't even stand to go in the bathroom and take a shower. It just stinks what comes out.
It's not the bathroom itself, but the water.
No, the water is like, so I, you know, all I did was put like a patch around the shower head, and then I sprayed around the room, and I came back in and I was like, okay, I can do this, you know, and took a shower and got through it just fine. So I don't know. So what is it doing? You know, is it adjusting my attitude and resistance and agitation?
Partially, I'm sure. You
know, on emotional level, or is it actually physically, physiologically changing? I don't know. It all worked out, and I was able to get me shower. So that's all. But it was well, such a marked change from, I don't know if I can even do this, to okay. This was talking about making patches. You can make any kind of patch. We were talking about you can just have one patch with one kind of GaNS. This is small. I'm kind of afraid to push that button and make it bigger. Let's see. Oh, I can. Oh, looky there. You can, what makes a patch even more powerful is you do like maybe 3 different kinds or 2 different kinds and put them together on the body. The 2 different field strengths seem to play off of each other and make a really active
they pull
field, right?
Pull and give.
Mm-hmm. And you can be real fancy and, you know, use a heat sealer, or you can just put them in a Ziploc baggie, you know, all of the above. Oh, I got ahead of myself. I won't talk about pets because there's a whole file on pets. This is one about plasmafying your accountant. I sent her a couple of these that I'd made out of tubing, and I tried all kinds of tubing. I never got to where I was able to make something that I would sell, right? Because they kind of pull apart. Eventually the water dehydrates. It's really hard to find the right connector for the thing. But, you know, for an endeavor to send her something, because she was, you know, in so much discomfort and distress that affected her so quickly. This is just like her little information that she was texting me back and forth, and super grateful that she was able to you know, recover some sense of energy and health and balance and whatnot, and get on with her life. That was kind of cute. And that was after she did our taxes, right? Or before?
Well, she jumped up and ran out and started playing in her flower bed, which she hadn't done for years.
It's just cute to
Things
hear
like that.
It's cute to hear that and be part of that. So, oh, this is okay. And this is taking your plasma to work day. So, you know, whatever food I get down in the DFAC,
the restaurant.
The restaurant, yeah, it was nice to be able to put my plasma water on top of that and adjust it a little bit before I ate.
It is plasma.
These are great. You get these little freezer balls. That's our favorite brand. Oh, you can't even read it.
They're already
Skill
filled with
Craft.
they're already filled with distilled water
Yeah, so you don't have to
and sealed. So
put anything in them. You just put them near yours. All right, let me try some little video on this new camera. Gosh, I like the wide angle lens. So this is some balls that are plasmafying. We found these at the store. It's little balls that are filled with distilled water. They're called ice balls, and they're made, you know, to freeze and put in your drinks. But Linda was smart enough to say, hey, you know, we could just plasmafy them like we plasmafy water, right? So we've filled this container with some of the plasma water that we made in the lab, not the GaNS, just the plasma water, so that the little balls can soak in that. So I have one set of them plasmafying with the 80% CO2, and then I have another set plasmafying with the zinc GaNS, and to put 50% in here between the zinc GaNS that I made in salt water, and then the zinc GaNS that I made in ocean water. So there's that one and that one. Just a fun little way to plasmafy something, and I suppose they can be used frozen or not frozen. It says each ball is filled with pure distilled water and is non-toxic. It'll freeze faster than ice and stay frozen longer. Use the same way you would use regular ice cubes. So that's that idea. Enjoy and send in your ideas, because we get them all the time, and I'm sure you do too. People are such creative creatures. Okay, that's that vest. Oh, what about the ink for your printer? You know, if you're going to print out flyers or
Yes.
information, why not have it plasmafied?
all the documents, printed documents you guys received are plasmafied with plasma ink.
Ooh.
And this the one that you guys made seems to be really good for, am I allowed to say this out loud? It's not going to go on YouTube public, is it?
I'm not sure what you're going to say yet. Be careful.
So many words you're not allowed to say. Pain and inflammation, whatever.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
easy.
like insect bites, burns, things like that. It seems to have a really quick effect on those things.
Yeah.
So keep a little spray bottle of it around, you know, maybe in your purse when you're out doing stuff. Grandchild steps on something and gets hurt. Boo boo. Here, have some plasma water.
Yeah.
Okay, we did those. People got into making like breathing devices, right? So there's a tube around this tube full of plasma water, and then you sit there and breathe the plasma fields. The discussion was you can drink the water, you can breathe the water, you can bathe in the water. How many ways can you plasmafy yourself? But I understand to bring it into your lungs seems to have a lot of effect on the emotions. So, and we always put the tiny tubes in the middle of those before I send them out, ask them to balance and harmonize. People that use the plasma in their swimming pools. We talked about that one before.
Okay, the pool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that
the wall of gold.
Yeah,
pool.
This guy knew a fellow took curly in photography, and they watched the progress of it over
in the upper right hand
several
corner.
days.
The picture up in the upper right hand corner there is the swimming pool.
And see if anybody has any, open it up for any discussion or questions before we go into, I think the next one is plants and animals and stuff like that, and gardens and things like that.
I had a quick question on the vial for the pendant.
Mm-hmm.
When you demonstrated it last time, you said to try to get the air bubble out of the top of the vial, or I wasn't able to do that. There was a little air bubble, and then the cork didn't stay in the bottle, and I don't know if I filled it too high. And then when I glued the cap on for the pendant to hang on, it
It's out.
the cork went into the cap, and when I pulled it off, the whole thing,
Oh,
I couldn't get it
Lord.
to seal. So I was wondering
Somewhere in there.
if I totally messed it up, and then I didn't want to touch it after that because I was getting Gorilla Glue all over myself and the vial.
Oh,
And
Lord.
yeah, so should I start over and get a clean vial, or?
Is there so much glue in the hole that you can't see the hole anymore?
No, it's just, it got on the outside of the vial and on my fingers. I only put a dab on the inside cap like you demonstrated, but
Yeah.
it pulled the cork out when I was trying to move it around. And I had to start over and kind of reseal it, but I wasn't sure how you got the air bubble out from the top. It was
Maybe-
just a tiny bit.
Yeah, maybe squeeze the little, let's see, we have a funny reverb. I'm trying to figure out why. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, I hear you
I
perfect.
feel like I'm in a big steel can. Oh, okay, I'm good. Yeah, so first thing is just there's definitely an art to it, and over time I've kind of worked out with my fingers how to kind of get it all together. Sometimes you can like turn that little, what you're calling a cork,
Yeah.
enough to like squeeze it on the side a little bit to let that air come out enough to where you, because I see what you mean, that you can't get it in because there's so much air in there that it won't.
Or so much fluid. And I tried to drain some of it back out, but there's still always a little tiny air bubble in there.
It's okay to have a little air bubble. It just, if it's getting in the way of you putting your cork in, that's
It's okay to have the some air.
Okay.
But what happens is that it may have a file. What happens is that sometimes it's too much air and it looks like the vial is half full. That's the air bubble I think she was talking about.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I filled most of it with the plasma. It was just a tiny air bubble. I just didn't know how critical that
Yeah.
was to creating the final product.
It isn't
No.
so-called
Okay.
critical.
I mean,
It's just-
this one's got a little bubble running up and down.
In my opinion, they need to have a small air bubble in there for the
Okay.
expansion. Yeah.
That's true, like
Wonderful.
phrases or whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you've got little GaNS and a little water in there,
Yeah.
the rest of it's probably optional, I would think.
Okay. And thank you so much for all the applications you just showed us and shared with us. One thing I wanted to add is I watercolor. So I want to start using it with my watercolor and see if there's different ways in which it affects the washes and watercolors that I do. So thank you for that.
And connecting with what
Yeah.
you're inspired to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've known several artists that have used it in their sculptures and artistry and whatnot. Yeah. And I'm wondering, if some of the really famous painters that people really connect with now, the Mozart, the Michelangelo, were they using something like that? I mean, because people
Maybe.
connect with what
Frequency.
and like the art really speaks to the people and all that, that kind of, I wonder if they knew something about that or had something similar going on.
Thank you. It's
You're welcome.
inspiring me for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, share it with us. I've got a couple of short video clips I did of ways that you can expand the water that you're using, and to make, like you were talking about, like making the GaNS out of like a fruit or veggie or your supplements or your protein powder or your whatever you've got. So I definitely want to get to those. I'll play those next, and then then we'll go through some of the gardening stuff.
And the nano coating you said.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be that'll be self-study.
Yeah, well, I'll show you a little part of the video. Very good. We're doing okay. We got 30 minutes. Yeah. So let me go ahead and do these, because I want you guys to have some clear ideas of ways that you can divide this, and spread it out and make more and share and utilize it. So, okay, let's do this one. QuickTime Player, that's where I'm at. Okay, so this was actually me yesterday, I think. Talking about making more.
Yeah.
So I fill this jar with the P3 GaNS water from the lab, and usually put like a splash of colloidal gold and a splash of colloidal silver in there that I've made with the nano-coated copper foil. And cool thing is, okay, so I'm just about out. I use it in various things, the cat food, the chicken food, the people water, smoothies, drinking water. And okay, cool thing is, so I have two choices. I can go up there in the lab and fill it back up with those things, or I can leave some in the bottom and just fill it back up with distilled water. One amazing and cool thing is with plasma water, the concept, a lot of the concepts of regular physics don't apply, but this particular one is that it doesn't really dilute, I guess you could say. So when I fill this with distilled water, instead of it being a dilution of what is in there, you know, within a few minutes, few hours, whatever you feel is appropriate, everything in the container is going to have the same attributes again, right? It'll be the same as, or pretty darn close to what the original is. So that's fun. So I'm just going to, kind of cold this morning, don't feel like going out in the lab. So I'm going to just fill this with distilled water, leave it sitting around for a while, and then use it for all the things. Yeah. All right. So that was about that. I'm gonna probably put that one to the side. Move. There we go. So this one is more about like making, what would you call these, like seed jars or mother jars or whatever, in different ways. And I'll place some of it. I think I talked about it for a long time, but I'm just going to kind of concise here. You know, obviously you can put a test tube on the outside of a container of distilled water. These are some, let's call them expensive supplements that we had purchased, yes. Right?
Oh,
and run out of. We don't want to say it to, you know, any product names, but I do have those pictures on some of the other ones. So you can actually just put a pinch of or a drop of, right, one of those supplements into a jar that's got some of your plasma water. You can put some GaNS in it or not. I've done it both ways. And then now you're putting it outside this water that you're going to drink. So say, you know, you ran out of this $50 bottle of that and this $80 bottle of that, but in the bottom of that bottle is another drop, right? So you just take a drop, doop, doop, put it in there, and now put it outside your container of water, and now you're going to drink this, right? Why not? Because you can. Okay. This one, oh, Linda was going to say something about that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm noticing something in your film here, that words have power. She's using one Adam's peanut butter jar there. When you're making your plasmas or your GaNSs and your plasma waters, be careful what words you have on or near the containers.
Yeah.
Because these words have power. We already know from Yamoto that if you write love on the water jar, it's going to be love in the bottle, in the water. Well, be careful with your words around your plasma waters and GaNS.
Yeah, and you might take the labels off if there's some other
Heather's one of the biggest. Well, the label's not going to matter. Yes, it does. The labels matter and the lids with words on them matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Point taken. And then there's these containers that you can get that have like a squirt. I'm trying to get it down in there. They have a squirt bottle top, right? So what I'll do is I'll cut the little tube so it's not going all the way to the bottom because I've got GaNS in here, right? So I'll just cut the tube about, you know, an inch or two above the GaNS, and now I can squirt that out into something. Okay. This one, I actually put a pinch of powder from about 10 different preparations that are really good for joint comfort and flexibility in this little container that's inside the jar. right? So that, I mean, there's just a lot of different ways you can play with that. We talked about those other two, so drop that one. Okay, any thoughts or questions on that? Okay, same with the...
No, thank you so much for the reminder about the words, because they are very vital. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I won't play this whole thing either, but just the idea of different types of spray bottles, ways of doing things. We make our own colloidal gold and colloidal silver. You can actually make the colloidal gold and silver with a nano-coated copper wire instead of a not nano-coated copper wire. So now what are you making? Is it an upgrade from the, the standard one? Maybe. I like it, my body likes it, and it sure comes out beautiful. This one on the right is one where we were treating our chicken that suddenly had a lame foot, right? And there was some different supplements we were wanting to give her. So I put a pinch of that in with the plasma water. We sprayed that on her foot,
With a lot of love.
with a lot of
And
love.
TLC,
Yeah.
tender
So-
love and care.
Yeah.
The chicken is now walking fine.
She is now walking fine. Okay, so I think we did all the people ones. I'm going to gardening. That's my favorite. Shall we spend a few moments on gardening?
Yes,
Any
please.
other gardeners over here?
Oh, totally. I'm
Yeah.
all in.
I love
Yay.
it. And we played so much with it. Let's see. Oh, that's a finder window. I need to do a preview window. Excuse me while I remind myself how to use my computer. Okay, it's also a finder window. Okay, preview. There you are. Okay, that one down. Boop.
Move your top window over.
Oh, I need to get out of that one before I can, pardon me again. Just moving things around, it's reminding me how to do that. Okay, gardening, thank you. My favorite.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so we're about 20 minutes out, so I'm gonna kind of pop through some of these. They're pretty explanatory. Just a word of caution, if you spray your tomatoes, they might just decide to go ahead and grow from the
inside out.
Oh my gosh, that happened to me because the tomato was right by the plasma water, and I'd never seen that happen before.
Isn't that spooky seeing those things grow out of the
Seedlings.
tomato?
Yes,
That was
fascinating.
cool. I have more pictures of it later. They just didn't stay together.
Ooh, what's inside that thing?
Now, speaking of I noticed, like with the berries, see how dark they are? They start to go through this process of like concentrating the flavors. They get so good and sweet. But see, there's a moldy one. But the cool thing is that it seems like the plasma picks out like maybe one piece of fruit in a bunch of them to do the entropy thing, right? And then the other ones are not affected at all, which is very unusual, right? Because usually if one goes bad, they all go bad. This is just, see that 55-gallon barrel there in our garden? Guess what that's got in it?
Plasma
We
water.
know that. Yeah, this is starting some cuttings and things, soaking your seeds, any little starter clippings that you're doing, and they can all be hanging out here together, right? I've got this one tube here, and I'm saying, okay, she's making this beautiful field here around all these different things, getting ready to start and go out in the garden. That's a lot of information about effect on plants that's in our documents. Dry, yeah.
That's those roses I was talking about in
Yeah,
one of the other
Linda,
classes.
That's several different bouquets of roses that I've received over the last decade. The chicken water. Oh, how'd you get in here? You're supposed to be over in pets. When you're getting ready to start, your garlic, they spray the plants that you buy in the groceries. They spray them with this growth inhibiting hormone, right? And even those, I was able to get them to start. So I ask it to neutralize all of that, right? And get them ready. I got a bunch of him. Let's see. Help recover from frosty night. Oh yeah, these tomato plants, I'd left them out when it was a little too cold to be left out. And yeah.
Wow.
And one guy got affected a little more than the other one, but I gave him a little plasma tube and he recovered. We talked about the seeds, using it with seeds. This is a crazy thing. I don't know if I have a picture of the tubes, but I planted this garden like before I went out of town. I put some plasma tubes, plasma rings in the bedding.
Wow, 2 weeks.
2 weeks later, 10 days later, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like salad.
That's amazing.
Salad.
This is great for food production.
Yeah, I would add that to my hydroponic tower.
Oh, please, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Wow, that's inspirational. Thank you. I noticed you also just stick the little tubes in the soil without, like instead of around the pot with a band, you just stick a little tube in the soil to help whatever's in that pot. So do you leave it in there through the cycle of the growth of the plant, or do you just introduce it and then you could take it away?
I think I've done all of the different things. Yeah, I guess what I do, what I have the time, supplies, and energy for in the moment. That particular one I made, you know, those big rings we showed, but I made smaller rings. They're only about 12 inches around. Yes. Out of aquarium tubing. And I put 3 different ones, boop, 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 inside the soil through the levels of the garden.
And it stayed in there.
Yeah,
so you leave them in there. Okay.
Those lived in there.
Yeah.
Got you.
And speaking of aquaponics, I think this is the one where I have some of that. I know this is still plants, but the title of this one was foods and things. I had to actually take some apples to work to see what they normally do, because I couldn't remember. As I sliced them, I was like, okay, so what is the normal rate of entropy for an apple? I had to take them to work to see what they would do, because at home they still oxidize a little bit. They get a little bit of the brownness.
A little light brown.
Yeah, but the difference is that they don't get like the mold and such. Oh, these are out of order. The picture before it was supposed to be the outside of that banana, which looks bad, right? It's black, and you open it up and banana inside is awesome.
Wow.
So this is what we're dealing with. That is that. Kefir water.
If you guys really want to play with the slice of avocado.
That's the picture right here.
Right, like that's what, and leave that out on the counter for 24 hours, 48 hours to see how long mine was grabbed and eaten before the week was over.
Well,
it was almost every week and somebody finally got it and ate it.
Well, and this is showing it. I got a whole file on that, but I'll just show him here. It does oxidize, right? So you get that brownness.
It grows another skin.
But to me, it's trying to cover itself, right? Because if you slice this off, it's real thin and you can eat it. It tastes great. Tastes like avocado jerky.
Avocado jerky.
And underneath is a nice green avocado that you can eat. And then like the citrus, they come out so pretty to me. They look like stained glass. Again, they make that like another skin over the outside, I think. And then you slice that off and squeeze it and you're good to go.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So are you putting them back in the fridge, or you just spraying it and leaving it out on the counter?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Luckily we have a really big like island on the kitchen. We just leave things out because
wow.
We do better.
Interesting. Okay, so that's like a pelican.
Oh, there's that tomato.
There's a term for that skin that develops on top of the fruit, the cut fruit. But that's very interesting. Wow.
Like we showed that earlier, the life cycle of a strawberry on plasma. Yeah, and that's my apple. Okay, now this is the aquaponics section. Okay, so the people in Australia, right, were in the class with me when we got started. This is all they did. They put this little orange aide jar with the CO2 plasma water. I think they put CH3 and ocean GaNS, those 3. And I can show you how to make ocean GaNS. It's really simple. And they put this in their huge hydroponics operation. Let's see, I hope these came in order. Yeah, And they also do microgreens. And the shelf life of their microgreens was just crazy. Now these got out of order too. We'll find them here in a minute. But usually they said their microgreens last about, what, 10, 15 days in the refrigerator or whatnot. They had pictures at like, I don't know, 50 days and 80 days and 180 days. And they never actually go like bad and smelly. It's more like they turn maybe a little yellow, and they're kind of like aging, you know, like in the fall, like a tree would finally start to do that. I don't know. Okay, I put this in here to remind me there's a lot of ways to make live water. And I used to do this, and I still do. I'll just take a piece of mint and some flowers and stick them in my water, right? Because that's life, that's plasma field, it's moving. Okay, this is more about their agricultures that they did. They were showing that a lot of their strawberries that they put the plasma water on would start growing strawberries out of the seeds on the side of the strawberries.
Wow.
Okay, this is talking about the shelf life. Yeah, normal shelf life of the microradishes, 11 to 14 days. And the other thing they noticed, you were talking about a lot of heat in Australia, that these plants were a lot more heat and cold tolerant both. Okay, so now we're getting into, I did throw these in a shuffle, I apologize. So all of these nice powder things, these are just prime time for making what we showed at the very beginning, where you might take a pinch of a powder and put it in a vial, right? You can take a pinch of each of these things when you're about to run out of them, put them in that vial. Now you've got your avatar smoothie, right? Or whatever you would normally take for a smoothie. Okay, here's their day 41 ones. Okay, this is my coffee at work.
When she worked.
When I worked, yeah. And this is a reminder of, you know, where to go for information about how to make all the things. I organized it by the different types of things that you can make, and there's live links in our book of the videos and the PDF and all that kind of stuff of the different things you can make. This is about the freezer balls, and those are great to put like in a fruit basket. You can put them in the refrigerator, put them in the freezer. Anything we bring in from the forest, right? Especially, you know, chopped veggies, that kind of thing. Sometimes I'll just spray it right in the bag. Usually if they're in a box, we'll take them out and lay them on the counter and let them dry a little bit before we put them back in. Oh, there's that poor banana. Before I open it. Okay, that's what we have, that department. And I've got another whole folder on the greens and things of what I was just talking about. I won't open that up because you guys have seen that before. The shelf life of the fruits and veggies. And the only other one we haven't gone through was animals.
And nano.
Shh. Oh, shit. Forget about that one. No, just kidding. Just kidding. It's such a big
you
subject.
said you would. Oh.
Linda wanted to show you one of the nano pins that we made, and it was kind of fun. So we found these things. Does it still work?
Put it on the spotlight. Where's that?
I think they can see it, right? Can you see me big instead of?
Yes, you're pinned, so we can all see you big.
Where's the thing? Oh, it doesn't light up anymore.
Oh, that's old.
We found these. They were like a little candy thing
Star
for
Wars
kids as a Star Wars
lightsaber.
lifesaver.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, you push the button and it would light up, and that was fun.
Light up blue too.
But you can make a nano-coated piece of copper. You can just make a straight piece of copper and put it in there, and it does a whole lot.
But
we've got a bunch.
The tip is dipped in plasma.
Mm-hmm. And then you put it on your whatever yours hurting, right?
You don't put it directly on, about 3 inches away from the skin, from the body.
We've got a whole write-up on the nano pins, the simple nano pins, which work just as well, work really great.
That's amazing. That's an amazing tool. Thank you. All of it. I use your spray, just so you know, ladies, on every vegetable herb I get from the farmer's market, and it really does work, and it extends the life of the herbs, which I go through all the time, and I know how long they last. And I definitely have noticed a huge difference on like my parsley and cilantro and green onions, especially.
Pocketbook.
Yeah. Yeah. I only shop twice a month now. I don't go every week, and I don't have to dump a lot of vegetables because they really do last a lot longer with the spraying.
See, now
So-
you've already paid for the class, haven't you? What you've saved on your
Oh,
herbs.
you guys have provided so much information and so many different applications. It's infinite. So for
Yeah.
that little kit that you sent us, it's just a huge treasure chest of all kinds of.
Right.
I mean, I'm learning every time I watch you guys, and I haven't even delved into all the different documents to get all the detail, but you just exposed all of that information, and it's endless.
It is.
I mean,
Well,
it
it's
really is.
nature's
So thank you.
principle. It's nature's principles, right? This
Keeps
is the
on
way,
giving.
Yes,
way nature
the
works.
gift that keeps on giving. But thank you for sharing that and making that happen for us, because I mean, I can't even explain how invaluable this is. It's like everyone should be doing it.
Yes.
I feel that way about, like, at least that the one little vial of fruit and veggie. I just want to give it to everybody
It does
Yeah.
that.
or whatever it is.
It just begs to be shared.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
make that. I think just the GaNS that you guys made, try this and tell me. Just the GaNS that you guys made, put in a little vial, put in your spray bottle, see if it does the same thing. I think
Yeah.
I'm
you know,
sure it
I
will.
just like to get complicated and do all these amazing like experiments and make all these different kinds.
I'm sure
I'm
it will
so
do the
excited about that.
same thing.
But I really believe that it will, and I hope that it will,
It will.
right? Because
Yes, I definitely will. I haven't gotten a lot of the new bottles of the sprayer, and you know,
Mhm.
I did have a bunch, but they're all full with other stuff, so I have to get more. And but thank you. There's so much.
dollar store. Dollar
Oh
store.
yeah, that and Walmart, but there's just so many applications. It's really endless. So thank you so much for
You're
sharing.
welcome. It's so great to hear.
Oh God, amazing. All right, Margie has a
Margie,
question.
yeah, thank you.
So Margie,
Hi. For the amino acid that's on top, I started a second batch. So I have that, and there's actually a thicker amount of the amino acid on this particular batch.
okay.
Is it the amino acid portion? I call it the filmy top, like you said. Two questions. Can that be gathered with a metal utensil instead of the plastic spoon, or does it have to be plastic?
I don't
Does
think
it matter?
matters. Linda doesn't like
No,
use metal with
No,
things.
I'm okay with plasma.
Mhm.
It's the, yeah.
You're just trying not to get it stuck to whatever it is. So just, float it in there and get a little bit of liquid with it and pour it quickly into I think that's fine.
Okay, only because plastic, I could break it at some point, it might not last. So, and also that's what you used with the GaNS for the fruit and vegetable spray?
So anything you make, whether it's a necklace or a patch or whatever, just put a drop of that water from that container in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a common denominator.
I'd like to share how I collect the amino acids.
Mhm.
I take a Ziploc baggie, and I cut it into little strips, about an inch wide, or whatever, and I just drag the
Mhm.
plastic
It
on
sticks
top
to
of
it
the
real
water,
nice.
and the aminos grab onto that plastic. But and then I take the plastic and put it down in a bottle of water. Okay, because you're not going to get it off the plastic.
It kind of
just kind of stays
now.
on the plastic.
Yeah, that's the
But there's nothing wrong with using the plastic with the plasmas.
yeah.
Okay.
It's nothing wrong with the plastic.
Mhm.
But then you just add the water, and then if you, well, no, I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah, I just didn't know if the metal would be reactive at all to the plasma or the amino acids or anything.
No, I'm
Like
not.
with colloidal silver, you can't, if you add metal, it would deactivate it.
No,
So,
we're not aware of any reactions to the
Mm-mm.
metals. And you're
okay.
right, that little plastic spoon, the silver may pull off on, yeah, with that plastic spoon, it's a lot of stuff that could come off.
Okay,
Yeah, I get it.
thanks.
Very good. All right, we got a few more minutes. I think I'm gonna bring up my nano coating video and play like a little excerpt, and then one of the parts where we've got ourselves all masked and gloved and
okay.
and doing that, and then I'll just kind of fast forward and do that kind of, what do you call that, like a preview, sneak preview. Let's see. And then I will upload it so you guys can find it, right? I thought of some other things I need to add to it anyways. So I think I'll do it with the, will I do it with the sound off? Let's see. See how obnoxious my voice is. You know, it's always like you. So these are some of the supplies to have on hand if you're considering diving into the nano coating process. We'll take you through and all of the different steps involved. There's some great videos on our playlist on the subject. Oh, I'll skip the lab tour. You guys can do that later. Here, fast forward. Boop, boop. That corner. I did want to show you the copper though. Okay, so see up there, that's the ceiling. We have this copper foil lined lab. It's in the ceiling, it's in the walls. Some of it's covered, some of it's not covered. So it's kind of like a Faraday cage. Nice coherent energies full of plasma.
Yep.
Okay, and then I'm going to go to where Linda and I are pouring the stuff. Is that right here? Yeah. Percent lye, because there's different household cleaners that are sold that are partially lye and partially other things. So this is the least expensive way to get it. You can also buy it in bigger containers. Make sure that you have mask, gloves, goggles. I put my container that I'm going to do the caustic bath in a box with some insulation. That's just trying to find where we're actually doing it. That's where we're getting the coils ready. Oh, so here's our silly girls. Do the nano coating. I gotta hold that camera, sorry. So we're putting on our mask and our gloves, and Linda sprinkled the sodium hydroxide. Do this outdoors into the container, and we'll finish up with that. So we'll just kind of show, that's enough. It just needs to come up to maybe the bottom of the chicken mesh, just covering the bottom of the container. It's a lot of corners. Like 30, nice. 35 of them. Yeah. Okay, so I have this boiling in the lab. We're going to just keep our eyes and noses back, right? Kind of cover all of the edge there. Okay, ready? So it's creating a sudden change of temperature, which is like a popcorn effect on the copper to make the nano surface. It's like, yeah, he calls it popcorn. Calling it good, huh? Yeah. And then we usually, when you do it the first time, you got it about half nano coated, so you end up doing it again. And in between, there's a subject of discharging the coils. Now they're nice and black for the most part, and you kind of look at them, they're not fully black. So I have different ways that I go ahead and sure up that coating. One of them is using a poor old crock pot that donated himself from Goodwill that I can keep it on low and do a hot caustic steam. And I'm just going to fast forward through the rest of this. We put them outside, we rinse them, we bring them back inside, we put them back in the crock pot, we discharge them, we take them back out, we put them out in the sun, we put them back in. There's 3 or 4 or 5 times. And then at some point we decide they're done. I mean, and you want them good and dark and shiny, not like, not like a piece of charcoal. They're more shiny.
Some shiny and some are not.
Any colors other than, there you go. And you just kind of keep going until that's done. Kits for our, and then the rest of the video, it kind of shows you how we put together the kits, what kind of zinc we use, and where you can get that. That's just a roll of that zinc sheeting that they sell.
I mean,
yeah, they sell it to get the moss off of your roof.
Yeah.
right?
Moss.
99.9% zinc
Yeah.
roll. It's called Moss Stop.
Now that one's at Home Depot or
Home Depot.
any do-it-yourself place.
And that's what the rest of the video I'm talking about, how you get the different kinds of wire, how you strip stuff and put stuff together. So I'll go ahead and quit there. Boop, boop. Yay.
Great.
Intro into the hazmat suit project.
Or you're working with a caustic, and then you pour hot water, steamy water into the caustic, and now you got steamy caustic steam.
Yeah.
And it's critical to wear. Well, it's not critical, but it's really advisable to wear protective clothing.
Yeah.
Oh, we wrapped up right at 12. Well, do we have any questions,
I
comments?
just have one quick question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. When you put the caustic, do you submerge it in the caustic water? No. Just
It's hanging above it in the steam.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, believe me, I've tried. Oh my gosh, it took us so long to even work out what that process was because the teacher showed it a couple of times, quickly online, and then of course the students fiddle around with it for weeks and months trying. Okay, well we didn't do it that way. We did it. Oh no, we didn't. Yeah. So that's the way we worked it out to where it works best. Yeah, and I don't know. We kind of came up with doing it with the coils. The way it was taught was doing it. Oh, good. I have one here.
You can do it with sheet copper. We've tried it with different thicknesses.
Yeah. So I'm going to aim this down. So the way that it was taught originally was with plates.
Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah.
It's kind of, let me do this. Let me hold it up. Oops.
There. I'm going to take this copper plate out.
Hold it
So
up like
instead of putting a coil in there, you nano coat this copper plate, which is harder than nano coating the coil. I mean, it's hard to get a complete coating. You can see where the top of it was kind of partially and the bottom wasn't
then you got
quite.
to put holes in the corners to hang it up with.
Yeah.
And the holes then don't nano coat easily. And we determined that the coils were easier to nano coat, bottom line.
And we were making them anyways. That was part of
Yeah.
making that MagGrav, the energy unit, and some of these. So it's like, oh, we figured out a good way to do that.
Yeah.
But I just, and the nano coating, that's a difficult subject for me because I don't want to discourage anybody from, doing the entire process and making it themselves. I want them to know the reality of the situation, but it's kind of a project. Can you just take a piece of copper and run a blowtorch back and forth on it? Yeah. Or throw it in the fire? Yeah. The thing is it going to is the black part of it going to stay intact on the copper, or is it going to fall apart and end up down in your GaNS? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. That's
So did that give you some
vital
information, but not make it too discouraging?
Yes.
Oh, hope so.
I would accept the challenge.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this amazing class. Even more helpful information. We'll definitely check out the nano coating. And we'll be reaching out with any questions. And again, the offer, if you have an online site that needs reviews, feel free to hit up the distribution list. We're more than happy to share some amazing reviews of this amazing class.
Well, thank you. I think we will do maybe a couple more classes this spring, like this one.
Yay!
1.5 more sets may do with 10 people so that it's small and we can, answer questions and stuff like that. So if there's others in, I don't know how big your group is, I would start with them if they wanted to do this class. And then, not necessarily have the 2-hour thing every Saturday, but I would do like a short
maybe an hour
person. Yeah. Follow up. How are you doing? Show me, and then they have access to these videos that you guys have helped us make. That's my plan. And then for you guys, if somebody wants to go on and make the 3 different kinds of GaNs, that's another subject. We do have some of those kits.
Definitely.
It won't be too much to put those together and do something similar.
Yeah. It won't take much.
count us in, and we could definitely raise it with the group too. So as soon as you have like the dates for other classes, let us know. Happy to distribute it to our group's distribution list.
All right.
So yeah, we'll raise it in tomorrow's call as well. So sorry, I didn't Mercury retrograde. I totally zonked out. We've got a call tomorrow. I sent the email actually during class, so I didn't realize I didn't send it. Great.
Well, you were a big help all along with that. I appreciate your assistance.
Oh yeah.
And I'll say for this group, if you guys, we can do it one way or the other. We can have a separate time, you know, every month or two or something, just do a little check-in, or we can jump in on one of your calls. To take my straw away. So one of your calls, you know, and answer plasma questions, you know, whichever way makes more sense for all of us.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Yeah, maybe like maybe in February, in advance for your next March class, we could have you on board, you know, and then folks that have taken the class, and Christine, happy to add you to the list if you're interested in our calls. We're here on stateside time. But yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, beautiful.
Awesome. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Well,
everybody for being willing to play.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Remember one thing important. The plasma begs you to play.
Yeah.
Play.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Great reminder. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for attending class with us. You are now a beginning plasma scientist. I'll also probably add some additional videos with other ideas that we didn't get to during this class of using the plasma in the homestead with your pets and many other applications that we have come up with through the years. Please share your plasma that you created with your friends and family and farmers markets, anybody that is open-minded and willing to receive. Give them some of the information that goes with it and help us spread the light in this world. The cool thing is that it's working. We are HB Plasma Solutions. That stands for Heartbridge Plasma Water Solutions.